Okay, so hello and welcome. My name is Katie. I am with Pro Notary, and today we have Mike Clapperton. He is with Sparkler Digital. Is it media or
No, just Sparkler Digital.
Sparkler
Just
Digital? Okay, perfect. And so we actually met through a BNI group, which is a networking group that I highly encourage anyone to go ahead and visit because it is great for small businesses. Um, but you helped me with a lot of things, including introducing me to ChatGPT,
I got you love
and
that. Oh, did you get
I
the
love
new
it.
assistant?
You what?
The voice assistant?
Well, just in
You're up
general, just
here, by the way.
ChatGPT at
You're up
all.
here, that's why. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the voice assistant, oh, it's pretty cool. I won't demonstrate it here because if it doesn't work, I don't want to be embarrassed. But it's like yeah, it's literally real time talking back and forth, and it's really detailed.
Yeah.
Great, great.
And uh my website. So I wanted to bring you on to go over a little bit about the Google My Business, your best tips because you are very knowledgeable in that. And then to talk a little bit about your like what your business does.
Sure, sure, sure. Okay, so Google My Business is huge. So I have a statistic, and of course, let me get to the screen here. I'm not going to show you my screen. I could, but it's really not that interesting. But I will tell you is that 60% of people who are surfing the internet really stop at your Google listing. It's actually and I'm looking at the statistic here right now, but it's 64%. 56% of consumers don't trust businesses without a website. So you kind of interesting. So a lot of people don't get to the website. They stop at the Google listing. And the reason why is because most of the people are using their phones, right? So what happens is that Google makes it very, very easy to click to call, click to email, but some people will click through to your website. And I will tell you, and so I encourage most people who having a website's important. I don't want to say it's not, but it's not the most important thing that you do. The most important thing you do is get on Google, and the best thing is once you're on Google is to maintain your Google presence that you become top of mind.
Mhm.
So, and there's a way to do that, and we'll kind of go through that a little bit. So I'm just going to slide. I'm again not interesting to watch because it's just words, but I mean, but we'll talk about it. Is that there's three elements of your Google profile. Well, there's more than three elements, but there's three elements that influence your Google ranking. One is relevance. So how relevant are the main keywords that the person's searching for to your business? So if you're a notary and somebody says, I need notary services, it's really relevant that they say, I'm closing a loan. It could also be relevant, but it's less relevant than notary, unless, of course, you put in your Google profile that you work on loan closings, right? So the key is to understand what those keywords are in your business and then making sure your Google profile reflects it, right? So, and number two is distance. How far are you from the client? And sometimes if you're like a mobile notary, it's still important to actually, believe it or not,
Mhm.
because person's in Marco Island and you're Bonita. If there are other notaries in Marco Island, they're going to probably rank higher than you no matter what you do. And I'll show you, and this I will share my screen, but not yet. Um, but um, but that's how close are you to the client's location. And the third one is the one there's only which you can influence is the reviews, the quantity, the quality, the recency of your reviews, the authority, and I'll go to that in a second, and the variety of reviews. Um, so authority is a really big thing. So there are people who are called local guides, and those are people who do a lot of reviews. So when you do a lot of reviews and then you get a review from a local guide, the relevance of that review goes up, right? So probably less so for a notary, but if you're like a restaurant, for instance, and a person does a ton of restaurant reviews, your restaurant and you get a good review from that restaurant reviewer, it'll go up. And Google, of course, knows that you've done a lot of restaurants reviews because they know both sides of the coin, right? They know you are a frequent reviewer and you review a lot of restaurants, and then they know that the customer or the business is a restaurant, so they match them up. So you get much higher that way. Probably less so unless you're doing stuff with like closing agents that and they do a lot of reviews for notaries, then of course then that would be probably an advantage. And the point is though is that you is getting reviews from all the people on the chain. So you're a real estate agent, your loan closing agent, and I don't know, I'm originally from Boston, so I don't know what they call them here. Even though I've lived here for 3 years, I've only closed in one house. So um and you know, the customer themselves, if you can get reviews from all those people, and maybe there's other people in the chain too, the loan agent, I guess, what happens is that you can exponentially increase your ranking in the Google reviews. And the key is that and the higher you go, people with 50 reviews get more ranking in Google than somebody who has 5 reviews. So I'll give you a good example. We've been in business here for about 2 years, 3 years, and my competitors in my general area, so I'm relevant, right? Because it's web. The distance is it's around me, and so there's probably about a half a dozen, well, more than half a dozen. There's several web developers in this town, and then reviews we have like 15 or so, and 15 in my world is not too bad.
Mhm.
But I have people that have been in business for 10 years that have a worse ranking than we do, largely because of the number of reviews. You know, so part of the relevance is how long you've been in business too, right? And how long your Google profile has been active. So okay, so the key really is, which you can affect, is really get dozens of high scoring reviews, 4s and 5s best. Get reviews consistently every week, or better every day, but probably less so in your field. Make sure they're recent. So if you do a closing today, ask them for a review right away, and I'll get you how you do that in a second. And then and you want to get as very you know, reviewed as much as possible. Some people on mobile, some people on desktop. Believe it or not, that makes a big difference. And the way to do that is to basically, one, have a Google profile. So I don't know. I know that, does everybody have a Google profile? Do you want me to go into how to do that too?
I mean, I think they should be able to kind of get that figured out, but
Okay.
I do have a question that comes up all the time,
Yeah.
and I don't want to derail you, but like maybe towards the end about getting a virtual address.
Oh, no, I can talk about that right now. Actually,
Okay.
so here's the deal. A lot of people, that's a really good question, actually. So virtual addresses are for Google, they know all the tricks. So here's the point. If most notaries work out of their house, I'm sure, and then they go to the client, or they don't have clients come to them for a notary, they'll go to a signing at a with a title agent, or whatever they call them here. Anyway,
Hmm.
so the point is that you're traveling, so you are what they call a service area business, right? So a
Hmm.
lot of people say, I'm going to get a virtual address because I'm in Bonita and I want to rank high in Bonita. If you have a regular address, you will rank higher in Bonita than you do in Marco, for sure. And but Google knows all these virtual addresses. They know all of them. That, you know, the reason why is because you can't have 10 people in one office, right? And so
Hmm.
they say, okay, well, so the person who is first to the well get there first. And by the way, the suite numbers don't mean anything, right? You know, they know if you're in a mailbox, etc., and there's 100 addresses, and then they have, remember, they got the satellite data and they have all the data from real estate. They know. So virtual addresses, you want to go a service area business. You'll get accepted right away. It's something that I think that now is starting to rank a little bit better, and I'll show you know, and I'll kind of talk about that too a little bit. And I think it just you won't get constantly kicked off, because what's going to happen is if you're the first person who has the mailbox, etc., box number one, now by the time you get to box 100, they understand, and then what will happen is that all of you guys will be knocked out now, and you know, there'll be a new trick. There always is. but they eventually catch up because they just have that much time. And you got to remember, the people who are at Google looking at this thing are basically, they're a room full of people, and those people are, you know, they're paid on the number of things that they review. And so it's much faster to deny something than approve something. So getting them to approve it it can be very, very difficult. So anyway, I hope that
It
answers your.
does, yeah. So basically, like, I think a major issue, is there a way to do it as a service-based business, but hide the address? Because what happens a bunch of the time, okay, there is, because
Oh
this
yeah.
is what yeah, it happens all the time where I'll have people, like, I'll be on the phone with a notary and they're like, someone just knocked on my door. And I'm like, what do you mean they knocked on your door? And it's because they think that it's just, you can just show up to a notary's
Right.
uh house, which, by the way, for anyone listening, please don't do that. Call ahead.
Yeah.
Even if it is on the Google, like, for the most part, yeah, it's
Can
not
I
gonna
can I
happen.
add a little bit to that just because I from my own experience, if you don't mind?
Yeah, yeah.
So with the virtual address, so I tried
Mhm.
that. I have one. It's really for my LLC,
Yeah.
so nobody can like find my home address. But it's a Staples. It's not like an office. It's like one of those things because it's just for mail.
Sure.
So Google was like, "Oh heck no, you will not." They took my verification away. I had to go through the whole process again.
Mhm.
Um, and I still didn't want to put my address because I hadn't had an address prior to that at all. And I wasn't getting anything from anybody. Like I was getting 0 calls.
Right.
So I actually was like, well, maybe I'll put the address to my neighborhood because it's like a town home neighborhood.
Yeah.
I didn't have one. I couldn't even find one. So I did the one next door, and it like worked. So like but I'm still not getting calls, but that's a whole other thing. But they did take it. Like they were able to re-verify me and they took it.
Sure.
So I don't think the virtual addresses work at all, right? Because they were like they don't allow them at all.
They
Like
use
they'll definitely kick you out.
Yeah, they do. They used to.
Yeah.
So if you put yourself as a service area business and with your regular address,
Yeah.
you then there's a box underneath, and I actually on here. What screen am I on? If you go in, there's on your listing on top, it says your business on Google. It says, and then if you click on your edit profile, I'm doing this, my screen's over here. So I'm talking to you, but my screen's up here. There is an area that says business location. Now I do have a business location. But there's a little pencil next to it and it says show business. There's a toggle switch, show business address to customers. Turn that off. Then you don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah, you still have to put it on if you're a service-based service area business, but Google, if you turn that off, then Google won't worry about whether all you have to do is answer them, in your application, people don't visit me, right? And
Mhm.
and it's much easier to get approval. Now that's changed. It used to be completely different. So if you've been in business for a while and you had the virtual address and you went through all that stuff, that's true then. It may not be true now. That being said, if you ever ask to re-verify, which is always a pain in the butt, they don't go back and say, well, it used to be that way. So as long as you follow the rules, then you're fine. No,
Mhm.
it's like they apply these new rules to you too. It's a real pain. And getting re-verified, you know, and I could talk about that too, about how to avoid getting re-verified. I mean, although it's not 100%
Hmm.
successful.
Foolproof. Yeah.
But yeah, the big thing is that don't put too much too quickly. Reviews are the exception because
Mhm.
those are other people and their accounts. But if you get like 100 of them in one day, they might kind of question it. So when I get clients who say, "Hey, I need to boost my number of Google reviews," I give them a program, not a software program, but a kind of like a kind of procedure on
Mhm.
how to do that. You go to, and I'll tell you how to do it. There's no, there's an area it says here, where is it here? Come on here. Ask
Get
for
more
reviews.
reviews.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ask for reviews. There's a link. You click on that, and then there's a link, and you can share that link via social media and so on and so forth. But this is what I found works best. If you get that link, you put a QR code, and then you put that on the back of your card. And then when you walk in to a closing, you say, hey, you know, I really appreciate this, you know, the business. If you know, if your experience was good today, could you please give me a good review? I mean, you know, and here's a QR code. And then they do it, and a lot of times you make them scan it right there. I mean, you don't force them, obviously, but they will scan it right there and at the closing and give you right away, even if they don't put any comments. Now, comments value higher than no comments,
Mhm.
but having a 5-star review is a 5-star review, right?
Yeah.
Um, Now we have another product that we sell that, and actually it's not out yet, but it's close. That basically the QR code sends them to essentially a web page that asks 1 through 5 stars, and then if you put 1, 2, or 3, it doesn't go to Google; it goes to this website.
Yeah.
And if you do put 4 or 5, it automatically says great, and then it goes right into your
But
link.
okay,
And then
that's
what
smart.
happens, yeah, and so we do that, and it's branded to you, and it looks nice, and on the back end, you have, let's say it has all your reviews, and you can answer them directly in the platform, and it interfaces directly to Google. And if you have a negative review or even a positive, we have AI to help you write. I mean, it could write it, but we don't encourage that. We encourage, but it will write the response for you, and then you edit it, and then add details, whatever you want, and then you hit submit, and it does it automatically. And so we're trying to come out. We're trying to get that launched. It's supposed to be launched 3 months ago, but I've been behind. So anyway,
It happens.
so any other questions around that, or not the product, the Google listing?
So you said something about avoiding re-verification. You said it's not successful, but
So
not always successful, but
right. So the way to do that is when you edit your profile, um, let it add some details, and then let it sit. Let it get approved. Let it kind of when I say let it sit, only for a day or 2, or 3 or 4 or whatever. But not a month, but not an hour either, right? And because what happens is there's too many changes on a profile if it's not brand new, if it's older, then what you want to do what they'll do is they'll say, well, hey, we need to re-verify this business. Or if you change categories, that's a huge one too. If you change categories, so if when you're editing your profile, one of the things you have it says business category, and ours is, there's a list of them, right? You could put a ton of them. You don't need to put just one, right? If you do multiple types of things, you put them all in there. And what happens is that each category associates itself to different types of services. And so, and then you should go in and edit those services if you don't provide them, but it makes your web bigger. But if they're completely different, like I'm a notary and I also do construction, they're going to kind of say, well, okay. It's like, and then they'll try to re-verify you with that too. But things like description you can do, no problem. You could put I mean, when you change hours, you could change business hours is no problem. You can add in more stuff around about your, like, identifies as woman owned, you have a bathroom, I mean, whatever. But there's a bunch of stuff. Is it accessible, not accessible? Are you closed during the weekends or not closed, during holidays? It's really, really good to kind of keep up with that stuff, because every
mhm,
single time you do something, Google says, oh, you're still in business. I have clients that come to me and that they've had 100 reviews or 1,000 review, whatever, and they ignored it for 6 months, and Google says, they might not be in business anymore, so they shut down their profile. They had to re-verify, and in that process they lost some of their reviews, quite a few of them actually, and
mhm.
they have to then fight to get them back, and it's so hard to track them down, as you can imagine. So
Yeah. So I have another question. Um, let's say you get a bad review from a competitor or something that is like very obviously not an actual review.
yes.
What do you do at that point?
What you want to do at that point is you want to actually document it and then send in a request to Google. So there's next to your profile strength donut, there is an area called help and support,
Hmm.
and you go in there and you basically just give the review information to them, and if you have any kind of proof, and you might have to
Hmm.
do it a few times, but usually they're pretty good about that.
Yeah.
But you know, if it takes a couple days or a week or something like that, but they do take it off. I've had a few things where they've even taken off photographs that came from clients of another restaurant, for instance. And
Okay.
for some reason, they said they went into this place that's across the street or something like that, and then they ended up putting
Got
pictures.
confused.
And that's difficult. That's difficult to get removed because Google says, hey, that's pretty relevant, and you know we were able to do it, but it took some time. So.
Yeah.
So I would say don't remove if it's good, never never remove it. You know, if somebody says, "Hey, you're fantastic," and then you realize halfway through the review it's not even you. It's a 5-star. Who cares? You know, I would say, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah. I would. It's like just don't look a gift horse in the. Is that phrase? Don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So a couple things is you want to be on top of your reviews. You want to actually update your profile probably once every week. I would say add something to it. There's Q&A you can add to it. You know, there's a Q&A thing where you put in the question, frequently asked question, then put the answer. Do people read that? No. The only really they don't. The only people who read it are Google, right? And that's all you matter. It's like a website. You know, nobody, I mean, 64% of the people stop before they even get to your website, right? And it's only going up. It's not going down. I know for a fact that in like 5 years, it'll probably be like 90% don't even go to your website. So, which is, you know, bad for me, good for other people. So I encourage people not to spend too much on the website unless you have a specific purpose for that website. You know, online booking, just relative to you, right? Online booking, informational products that you might sell. I mean,
I want to
you know,
hit on this though for
oh,
the automations on the back end,
yes.
because those are always I did want to highlight that your software and your website does have something
Yeah.
where you can link your Instagram and like your social media to Sparkler.
Yep.
Um, and then it will do like automatic replies, or like you can see the conversation. If you had like an admin, they can kind of handle any of the incoming stuff. So yeah, they might not have the website, but there's definitely more on the back end that
Well, we have
is
it. We
relevant.
even have something right now. It's actually, I don't think I even just told you about this, is that we have it where you can create a whole month's worth of social media posts that are pretty good, by the way, in
Hmm.
like 20 minutes, and then schedule them to go out.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Does
Yeah, we
it
do.
pair with Canva, or is it just
No, it doesn't pair with Canva. I mean, it's AI driven. Now, again, I know all our products, we never really encourage you to just let AI do it.
no?
There's one exception. There's one exception, and I'll get to that. It's AI assisted, so it'll come up with all the stuff. You still got to go through it and say, yeah, it's good. No, that's not good. And you could add and change stuff. But we have that, and then and we have a do it for you service as well, where we just basically make the postings for you. And hold on, I lost my train of thought. I was just saying, oh yeah, fully automation. So I do have some clients that get so many reviews because they're restaurants, and one barber shop, for instance, they get like probably 10 a day. They just don't have time to go through it. And so what I do is I've created a chat GPT automation with Zapier. Probably way too much detail for this discussion, but essentially what it does is it basically listens for good reviews, and then
Hmm.
basically will answer those good reviews with not that much detail,
Hmm.
but something a little bit more than thanks, but
Yeah.
not something not something that's going to go out of left field. Now I had a couple, actually just one, that went out of left field, and it just because somebody spelled something completely in a weird way, and then
Hmm.
ChatGPT got confused, and then but that was one time. But I mean, it didn't say anything horrible. It just but you give it
Yeah.
guide rails, but it answers those reviews. I
Hmm.
never suggest using AI automatically. It does it automatically, so and then it will post it for you. The only thing is that I don't really use that. I mean, like for instance, for you, you're probably not going to have 50 of these a day. You're probably going to get one or two a day. If you're lucky, maybe one or two a week, right?
Hmm.
Which is right, which is fine. you don't need automation in that case,
No.
right? Yeah, I mean, you're the automation, right? You know, I mean, I'll be happy to do it for you, or I'll teach you how to do it. You can go on YouTube and figure out how to do it. I didn't do anything that you know, I learned on YouTube just like everybody else does, right?
Yeah.
I don't know everything. I just said, hey, this would be a really good thing. Let's see if somebody on YouTube does it. Oh yeah, here, this is how to do it. You know,
Hmm.
you definitely do that. You know, so anyway, yeah. Oh.
That's the rest of my questions for right now that I can think of.
But I would suggest so having a website, even if it's rudimentary, just show your business. Because like if you go back to that statistic I said, almost 60% of the people stop at or more than 60% people stop at Google. But if they end up going there and there's no website, they don't, your trust level goes way down, right? So don't spend a ton of money on it. You know, I mean, really don't spend a ton of money on it, but have one, right? Whether you, even if you don't do it with us, you can do it with Wix. You're not going to SEO very well, but again, maybe that's for you, it's not a big deal. Or you could do it through GoDaddy or something like that. Have your own domain. You know, so it should be something that's relevant to you and your business, but I wouldn't spend thousands of dollars on a website unless you have something very, very, very specific to do it. If it's just an online brochure, just a single page with a summary of what you do, and you know, something that doesn't look like, you know, it was made in the 80s, I think you'd be fine.
Yeah. Technically, if you're on like a super budget, which I also wouldn't really recommend, but if you are on a super budget, you can use Canva. Like you can buy a domain. Yeah,
But
I don't
that,
really.
that's new. And actually, to be honest with you, I mean, it's better than nothing. And matter of fact, I even looked into do it because we had asked to do cheap, fast websites all the time. And we could do stuff that's cheap and fast, but not Canva cheap, right? You know, that's
Yeah.
just so Canva.
Mine is from Canva.
No, it is.
I'm sorry.
I'm fine with it. I'm
sorry
not
to
offended,
see-
but it is 100% from Canva.
It is
I
better
mean,
than still
some
use
of
the
them.
URL. No,
so-
they look good.
Yeah.
They look, Canva's known for that. So they look
Well,
good.
yeah.
I mean, it's better than nothing. I mean, trust me, it's better than
Okay,
nothing.
here's my defense of Canva, okay, real quick.
No, it's not bad.
So I purchased Canva for my other stuff for like social media, you know, making things or whatever.
Mhm.
And so I already paid for that. So I tried to do it through Wix and that was fine. And then, but I didn't want to pay for the domain and I didn't want another domain, right? Because I
Mhm.
already used the domain that I paid for
Yeah.
Canva that I already pay for.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's why I did that. But it's actually not terrible.
No.
Like it's
No,
really
you
not.
can-
It
you-
works.
You can have it so that it's interactive. Like if there's, I've seen realtors do that, and then they get like really detailed because then you can embed like a YouTube on like, you know, you can embed YouTubes onto the Canva website and everything like that and have links. So it's if you are on a budget and you don't really care about the automations or the back end, I do think that Canva can be an option. So
Yeah, and actually, as long as, like I said, and plus also, let's say your website is yourbusiness.canva.com.
mhm.
Okay, you could go into GoDaddy or your domain provider, and you could do a auto forward on your main domain name. You know,
Mhm.
yeah, you could do that. And you know, obviously, they used to make it easy to mask that. It's a little bit harder now because some domain providers don't allow it, but where you can mask the fact that they're on Canva at all. But you know, listen, again, you know, it's not, you know, it's not the most difficult thing in the world to use that and just keep that. I encourage that for some people.
Mhm.
You know, but you know, your website's going to be a static website, and that's okay. I mean, yeah, okay, have a YouTube video and links and whatever.
Yeah.
But if you want to collect customer information, you're going to have a form someplace that's actually going to collect stuff. Now, will Canva do that in the future? Probably. Probably. They always do. Maybe they do it now. I don't know. But I mean, you know.
No, they don't. Yeah, they definitely don't. And that's why I moved to Wix initially because I had my Canva website and I'm like, oh, let me try Wix. And it was better.
Yeah.
But like I said, the reason why I did it because I would have to pay for Wix in order to not. I'm sorry, my dog is barking.
That's okay.
I would have to pay for Wix to have my own domain name
Right.
through that, and I already paid for Canva, so I had to make a choice. I'm like, I'm not going to pay for both because Wix
Yeah.
isn't going to do all of my design work for like my, for my social media and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I was like, well, I got to make a choice,
So-
and I did.
Yeah, no, I get it. So one of the things you do, if you can embed, you can embed a YouTube video, you can probably embed like a form. If you had a form for like Jot form or something like that, could you embed a form? I don't know. There's probably an HTML thing where you can embed a form directly in. Jot form has some free forms. Then we have our own form builder where we can embed, when we give you the embed code, you embed it in your site, and then what it does do is it sends you an email when you get somebody that wants interest in your service, so it's an autoresponder and a whole bit like that. And that's super cheap to do, probably because it only takes me about 5 minutes to do it. And we just basically sit on the phone and kind of configure that. And we have done that before. It's a monthly fee, but it's low. It's like, because it's just a form. It's like it's a form that does that basically as an autoresponder, and then at the end of the month you get a spreadsheet of all the people that called you. You could do that on your own by going to Jotform, and Jotform has a free plan. Jotform's great, fantastic software. We use Jotform 2 for certain things because you can do some pretty advanced stuff. But if you're going to pay for Jotform, you might as well pay for Wix, because Wix is Jotform, they're about the same price, and Wix has the forms and the website builder. But both for Wix is not a great web hosting web platform. They're getting better, but they have their issues. And Jotform is not a website builder, so we kind of do both.
I've seen people use Google Forms
Yes.
to be able to like embed and then do it
Yep.
that way. Although like I'll be the first to tell you I have no idea. But that is an option that's free.
So
I don't know if it's good or not though.
Yeah, you can go to Google Form. Google Form, the back end of Google Form is Google Sheet, which is a spreadsheet. So you can do the exact same thing using Google. That's
Hmm.
yeah, you want to do that. And it's very easy to do. And you can go on YouTube and there's a million videos on it, shows you how to do it. So again, we do it for people who just don't, I have clients that's literally have the only interface they have with the internet is on their phone. They don't do anything else. A matter of fact, I have one client who didn't even know how to get an email. I mean, the guy's my age, right? And he didn't even, and I'm not that old, but didn't even know how to get email on his phone, right?
Yeah.
So that's the kind of people that we do that for. Most of the time, though, not a problem. Just go on YouTube. It'll show you how to use Google Form. Google Forms are actually, I didn't really think about that. I don't really love the look and feel of Google Forms, but
Mm-mm.
it's better than nothing.
Yeah. No, I don't like the interface either.
No, it's horrible.
Really. Yeah.
But it's free, right?
Yeah.
Somebody offers you a free card, do you take it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Any other questions regarding anything? I mean, I'll tell you, we have some other stuff that we do too. I mean, again, some of it you can do yourself, some of it you can't. Obviously, mobile apps you don't do. We do a lot of stuff around automation.
Mhm.
And mostly automation to do with, like, say, if I have a form here that we fill out and it needs to be kind of put into a certain format and then emailed off to a client. I mean, that might be an example. We could build those for you. It's usually either, if it's your account, it's a one-time charge. If it's our account, then we charge you as we get charged. So, but then we do a lot of like really some intricate stuff that's
Mhm.
probably less relevant to you, but sometimes just automating your moving something from a spreadsheet over to another spreadsheet or another
Yeah.
database or something like that, which we do for you, I think, don't we? I
I
did
think
some.
so.
I have an automation that we wrote. What did we do? I can't remember.
So I have automations that do it so that it's linked to my Instagram so that when someone posts on my, So when someone posts on this is something that I wanted to kind of highlight because this
Oh
is
yeah.
how this is what I use for my Instagram to drive more traffic to the places that I want to drive traffic. So I use the software automation to I linked it to my Instagram, and then it has something where, and when we talk about automations, it's basically like when something happens, then there's a waterfall effect that the software will do that I don't have to touch.
Right.
So you set it up so that the Instagram, when I post like a reel or a post or anything, and someone comments a specific thing,
Mhm.
all of this stuff happens in the back end. So basically what ends up happening is, let's say I have my notary business and I want to schedule more bookings. So I post it on Instagram, because Instagram, you never know when it's going to get in front of someone for these reels. Like I have reels from 2 weeks ago that people are still commenting on at like 4 o'clock in the morning. So basically what you would do is make the reel, and you could say something like, want to learn more information on how to partner with me as your remote online notary, comment book. And so once people comment book, the software will recognize that, and then it will DM them whatever link I have set up. So I have it set up so that there is a link to my Facebook group. I have it set up so that there's a link to my website. You can set it up for your Calendly, so that way like it gets directly to their Calendly. But it's a really, really nice way to make it so that you don't have to be working 24/7. And that's something that the software does. So that's the automation that I really like.
Yeah, and going back to what I was talking about, the reputation management in that specific space, we do something very, very similar. When you ask for reviews, we can ask for reviews for all the different things. So yours just probably gonna be Google, but maybe there's other things too that you guys use for reviews, or maybe Yelp, for instance. So we could actually send out a link. It's the same link for multiple
Mhm.
platforms. And that's really, honestly, that's really part of that automation. Also posting. If you post stuff, if you post stuff in Instagram, it automatically goes to Facebook, right? Or maybe it's the other way around. Yeah, it's the other way around. So but if you want to post to Pinterest, or if you want to post to LinkedIn, or if you want to post to Google My Business, which by the way is a good thing, that should be automated. So you don't have to actually go in and post over. And those are things you do once, and that's it. You just do it at the same time. And then so you could even automate it to reformat the photo
Mhm.
uh to be a certain way, and then it goes directly to those things. So it just makes your life, it's a kind of like a quality of life thing. It's not so much that, is it going to revolutionize your business? Not likely. I mean, maybe for what you're doing, but it could, I guess. Yeah, I guess it could. But I mean, the thing is that you don't, I don't even post anything to social media. I
Mhm.
don't, because I in the beginning of the month I spend an hour, and I do a month or less, and then I do a month's worth of postings. I hit, and it goes, and I do 3 or 4 a week.
That's what I've been doing, because like I am handling the social media for like my own business, and then also pro notary. So
Mhm.
to be able to kind of handle that and not be like a basket case all the time, I do content batching, so that way I'm not on my phone as much as I would have to be. Like, oh, it's upload time, like the 2 o'clock special window of like the best time to post. Like it's not something that I really have to think about. So
Right.
yeah. Does the I didn't I should have does it post to Twitter or X as well?
Yep. Mhm.
I need to update my automations. Um,
Yeah, so, I'd say I have, the one we have, well, the big ones is Facebook, Instagram. I'm looking at a list here. Facebook,
mhm,
Instagram, LinkedIn, X, and Google My Business. It does others too, but those are the big ones. I want to get Nextdoor. It just takes me a while. It's taken me a while to kind of figure that out. But I mean,
mhm.
yeah, but it's the same thing. It crops the photos so that because
Interesting.
yeah, you have to, because Instagram and Facebook uses different formats.
Mhm.
And Google My Business, I don't think cares. It'll use any format you put on there. I don't even know what X uses, to be honest with you.
I don't either. I'm gonna have to look into it, because this is, I mean, it seems like there's always so much more that you could be doing within your business,
Yeah.
that it's super overwhelming all the time, where it's like you hear about something and then people are like, what? You aren't doing XYZ? And I'm like, I'm doing the best I can.
Well, the
So
part of the problem also is it's so short-lived too. But yeah, you got comments on reels. Reels last longer than posts, right? Posts are
yeah.
just, you know, if you got
Hmm.
somebody there, it's unlikely unless somebody's looking for something that you did, which happens, right? It's not as easy. So, um, but you know, it's just
That is why, sorry.
no, no, go ahead. I'm just yeah.
That is why usually I really recommend, and like I haven't really verbalized this a ton, but I really recommend people make videos to be able to put on YouTube for their business. Like it doesn't have to be about them. It could just be like, a voiceover of you talking about the notarization process or, how biometrics works or like a little bit of a walkthrough. Post it on YouTube and then um put it on your website so that way it gives people more things to look at when they're trying to decide if they want to work with you. Because if I see a website that is blank and I see a website that has like interactive YouTubes, I would be more apt to go with the interactive YouTubes because it's a little bit easier for me to just wrap my head around. We're almost the same thing where, like if you put stuff in a Amazon cart, uh, you would see that in the Amazon cart for like 7 different times as you're logging in, and you don't actually purchase it until the 7th time.
Right.
So that's kind of what it is. It's like all of us in our businesses are in the Amazon cart, and like we just need to push them into making the purchase. So
Well, and actually your relevancy of your website goes up too when you link YouTube to it. By the way, you could also link YouTube to Facebook, LinkedIn, maybe Twitter. I don't know. Can you do it on Instagram? I'm not sure. Probably.
So you can't really. The only thing that you could do is and it wouldn't make you rank higher. You could cut your YouTubes into, this is what I do. You can cut your YouTubes into shorts and then put them on as reels and then make
Yeah.
it, yeah.
So here's a very good tip, and it's not me, it's Microsoft, believe it or not. Clipchamp is a software. It's $11 a month
Mm-hmm.
that will do that for you. You essentially do one video, you can
Mm-hmm.
upload it, you can edit it, but it uses like AI to help you edit. And then literally you just say, I want it in this format, this format, this form, and this format. I don't know if it does the postings for you, but it's actually super simple editing software. It's
Mm-hmm.
is cheap. I use it for when I do videos. I actually did do some YouTube videos. I might get back to that. Just like, again, you could do this all day long and not work. Um, so now I do it for other people. I don't do it for myself. So a lot of times it's like, do what I say, not what I do. I mean, sometimes, but, I'm getting better. But we just started going into social media. We've been all in the web, and we're starting to move not away from web because that's our bread and butter, but
Mm-hmm.
but we're starting to move into social media management. I have a person on my staff that's all they do all day long. They're 30 years old. I'm 58. And so not that that's old, but it's for this crap, it is. It just sorry. I just, you have less tolerance for it, right? When I say I do 30 days with the postings in an hour, it's really she does 30 days of postings an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, I'm too busy doing websites and doing
Yeah.
I'm cool. Anyway, yeah, it is. All the automations I do though. I do those I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
And then, okay, so because I get this question all the time about like, making websites or like my recommendations. So how do we find you? How's the best way to work with you? And like, what's your ideal client?
Well, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, for what you do is you're talking a couple pages. I mean, so yeah, that's like $500. It's really not that expensive.
Hmm.
Uh, I would say I mean, you can Google me, right? But
Yeah.
I'll give you my phone number. That's fine. Fine. You can call me, email me, whatever. We'll get you in the system. You can go to our website. There's a lead capture form, believe it or not, on our website. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It'll text me
that
when
makes sense.
yeah, it
Yeah.
makes totally makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, but or you just use click to call. If you go right into on a Google listing, there is a thing that says click to call. I do want to
Mhm.
say one thing though, actually, before we
Sure.
get off the reputation of the Google listing,
Yeah.
is that our Google listing is Sparkler Digital website design, mobile app, and mobile app design agency. So that's not our business name. Our business name is Sparkler Digital LLC. That's it. Now, how do you do that? So what you really want to do is make sure in the title of your business. Now, Google says don't do this. And you may get re-verified if you do it, but I've never really heard anybody getting re-verified a second time. It's really not that difficult. I've never been re-verified on this thing, but if you notice keyword website design, mobile app design agency, utilize that. So if you don't have Notary in the name of your business, you should, first of all, but second of all, you should, if you don't, put it in the Google listing title for sure, right? Because that's the first thing that Google says, this is relevant, here you go. All right, so sorry about that, to backtrack a little bit there.
Okay.
So yeah, just email, call. I mean, go to the Google listing, and you can go to the website directly. We even had chat on the on Google Business. To be honest, it doesn't work very well because people do it at 3 in the morning, and I don't get it till next day.
I took mine off.
Yeah.
Well, you took mine off because I just was like,
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Right. And then, but I would say, phone call, it's fine. We're not an expensive provider. We believe in long-term relationships. So, I mean, obviously there's a monthly hosting fee, but, it's not astronomical. So,
and then I'll leave the description, like, because we'll post this. I'll leave this in the description box as well. So,
great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. I think, yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up because I do have a 3 o'clock notarization. So I will talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Not through Facebook messages, but just Katie at notaryswfl.com or Katie at pronotary.com. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Cool.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.